This might be one of the biggest online e-com events we hosted. So it's really nice to see everyone here in this session. I'm super excited with all the knowledge we have available in this session with Patrique, John, and Jeroen. My name is Bart. I'm the founder of Princess Sneakers. We're a B Corp certified growth hacking agency. We try to grow brands that try to make a positive impact on the world, and we love e-com. So today we invited some special guests to talk about what's happening in our market, what can we expect next year, what trends should we consider, what tools should we use, and let's first start off with a short introduction of who we are. Patrick, you want to start introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm Patrique, head of growth at Ecom, which is the mother company of EasyToys, for people who know EasyToys, but also Augmented in France and Amorelie in Germany. That are the big names. In Norway, we have Maria Nielsen. I'm 13 years working for this company now, so almost started as the 5th employee. And actually did a lot of different things within the organization. So from performance marketing to creative marketing, but also CRM. I also did 1 year B2B actually. And now I'm the head of growth and actually challenging different teams to come up with new ideas, but also throwing over a lot of new ideas. I always say I'll come up with an idea, but I'll ask the teams to make it perfect. I work something out to get it as fast as live as possible. So always the minimum viable product or even a bit less. And I have a statement which I hanged on the wall that says it all. If it can be done in 7 minutes and it's good enough.
Nice. Thank you so much. John.
Yes, John Lin, currently a keynote speaker. And I talk a lot about how China is like 5 to 10 years ahead on digital innovation here compared to the West. And also an independent strategy consultant. And before I worked 6 years at Bol.com as a strategy department, as a strategy developer. So really helped to grow the company as a marketplace and also like solidify its position in the market. I also took the board to China and did all kinds of cool projects. And the last 2 years, I have also built up the ecosystem of Bol.com. So there's a page where you can find all kinds of apps and services of third-party companies that help the merchants that sell on Bol.com grow. So because even a big marketplace like a Bol.com or an Amazon cannot do everything on its own, and it needs a wider ecosystem to help to develop the whole retail ecosystem.
Thank you so much. Jeroen.
Yes, my name is Jeroen, e-commerce lead at Princess Sneakers, and been responsible for the growth of more than 30 e-commerce clients, like Windparts, vakantieveiling, but also sustainable brands where we focus more on like Plankton and Subs. From go-to-market strategies to 100 million plus revenue. Used to do a lot in performance like Google Meta, but really keen to learn more about how to build valuable relationships, because I feel like the world needs more than only performance. We need to start building relationships with people online, what we do a lot, very good offline. So really keen on learning more about that and also talking about that today. Fun fact, I have 1 plant per square meter in my home to make sure I have enough oxygen to think straight.
Nice.
Well, maybe next time you should do the session from home. All right, so the session is being recorded. You can watch it back whenever you want. You can ask questions, and we have a moderator sitting somewhere here in our office. He will take care of all the questions that you have. So feel free to join the discussion, and we'll try to make it a bit more interactive. So we've got a couple of polls that we want to questions we want to ask, not only to John, Patrique, and Jeroen, but also to you in the audience. So to kick off with the first question, I think Max is going to start up a poll right now. So the first question to the audience is: did you ever buy something from EasyToys? Have you ever bought something? This is totally anonymous, so no worries. We won't give your information to Patrique.
I didn't even know this poll was in. This is quite surprising.
We're not going to tell. It's all about the surprise elements. I actually can't see the results, but can you give me the result? Yeah, so Patrique, you got some work to do. So yeah, 58% didn't buy anything. 24% not yet. So they might have plans for Christmas. Actually, there are quite some people that bought products at your store. So well done there. Yes. So the first part of the session, I want to talk about the bigger trends we see in the market, and maybe John, you were saying China is 5 to 10 years ahead compared to Europe, I guess, and the Netherlands. What is the biggest trend you see that we can expect here in the Netherlands and Europe?
Yeah, so for the last 3 years, the biggest one is social commerce. So it's how people buy, where they buy, and when they buy. And within China, I think every product that gets sold has at least 8 social touch points. And the biggest thing you can see is market share from the Chinese version of TikTok. So Alibaba lost 15% market share on e-commerce in 3 years to TikTok. And so TikTok came from nowhere, and in China, within the TikTok app, you can see a celebrity promoting a product or influencer. You click on the product and buy it, and it gets shipped to your house. It's a total different experience. We don't know that here, but the thing is, Meta within Facebook and Instagram are pushing this. TikTok is pushing this hard. They already have a big user base, and they know the game in China. So that's one of the big trends that will be coming here.
Nice. And what time do you expect that to come here? Because I think social commerce people have been talking about it quite for a while, right?
Yeah. So we have been talking about it for quite a while. And the only companies that have been trying it are the Instagrams and the Facebooks, and maybe Snapchat a little bit. But this is the first.
Pinterest have a shop as well.
Yeah, Pinterest has a shop as well. But TikTok is the first time where a Chinese company who knows how it works, because they've developed it in China, and they are bringing it here. And the interesting thing is TikTok has around 90 minutes to 2 hours a day of every user on average. So there's a lot of time that you can test and try out, like how do I convert these viewers? One of their main challenges is the young demographic within the app. But in time they will all make money.
They also have a business center, right, for it. If you have a TikTok ads account, you can actually see other advertisers, how they convert and what's their time inside if you have a business account.
Yeah, so they have an office in Amsterdam where they do this from, and they hired a lot of people from Google.
So it's available for me today. So if I want to start selling via TikTok, is that available?
I think the Netherlands hasn't been open yet, but the UK is open, the US is open, so they open it by country, but the advertising part is already open.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I believe there are also tools which you can already use on site for this, actually. We have been looking into this as well for incorporating. The problem was for us that we cannot show toys on socials, so that we get blocked in our live show, but we actually... because it's some kind of live show, if I'm correct, right, John, with really celebrities who are pushing products.
Yeah, so they are really like spending their marketing budget to get the influencers to use the tools. And also, I also believe if you run a Shopify store or a WooCommerce store, you already have plugins that can upload your whole product catalog to the TikTok Merchant Center. So you can view your store within TikTok.
Patrique, you said we cannot display our products via social. How do you tackle that? That sounds to me like a big challenge, no?
Yeah, it's a big challenge. Yeah, sometimes we can show products, but it's tricky. So 100% showing no, and always with the risk of getting blocked or getting that video offline. So a live show is too risky because you could be done in 10 seconds and then you're very unhappy. Because you prepared for that and paid probably amount of money. But how do we tackle it? We actually did it last summer in May. We actually did a campaign called Time for Better Toys, and what we actually did to create a creative way to advertise. So we had like cucumbers and apple pie, actually all the things you see in movie, and toys which you actually should never use for your orgasms or whatsoever, because so it was a double up campaign. And what we did, we created together with Megawatt, an agency somewhere in the Netherlands, in close to Brabant, Eindhoven, somewhere there. We created actually also a totally landing page where people could choose like Tinder on A or B. So, for example, sitting on the wash machine, or rather have a cucumber. And then after they did the whole game, they could get an advice. But because it was JavaScripted, Meta couldn't read it, and Instagram couldn't read it, and TikTok. So we had a workaround so that we could show toys in the last step. And we had actually a conversion on that soft conversion of 40 to 50% on starting that game. So for us, and we need to measure sometimes in these kind of successes, but yeah, we always find creative ways to, not always, but we try to find creative ways to advertise on these kind of platforms.
Cool. Makes me think about one of the clients we had in the past where we were trying to advertise around blockchain crypto stuff. So we did a redirect via a different page. So Facebook didn't see that we're actually advertising with blockchain stuff and etc. So
yeah, we did that in the
Jeroen, what's the biggest trend that you see in 2024, and what can we expect from you and our clients to bet on?
Yeah, definitely. So a trend, and also one of the biggest challenges, of course, data. We see a lot of news articles around Google and Meta that don't get compliant by regulations in the EU. So what we see, blocking third-party cookies next year, maybe Q2, Q3 of Google next year. So it becomes way more important to gather first-party data, in my opinion. You already see that with tracking opportunities that web shops can integrate that. But also Meta, for instance, now has a new feature, right, where you can pay not to see ads, or you don't pay and then they are eligible to use your data. But in the end, if you're really dependent on the data Meta has, it's a big risk for e-com stores. So what we really need to do, and what I see there's a big trend next year, is becoming less dependent on other people's data. So make sure you have data by yourself. You can do that, for instance, right, with surveys, tracking, CDPs to integrate. But also, I feel like a lot of partners that we helped in the past didn't call their clients on a regular basis. So who is your customer? What's their goal? What they want to achieve in life? And how can you integrate that data in your marketing strategy? So I think in a world that offers needs to be more and more personalized, right? There's no one solution that is fit for everyone. So different segments need specific targeting from you, specific challenges that need to be fixed next year. And without the data from yourself, it's really hard to target the right audience with the right behavior and the right needs. So I feel like from a broad perspective, it's definitely personalization and making sure you can approach your audience with the right context and the right content, but also to stand out from the competitors. And that's probably why bol.com is such a big threat to small and medium e-com shops, because the e-com shops most of the time don't have the data themselves, where Bol, of course, and all other marketplaces have a lot of customer data.
Yeah, John, you're a platform expert. Can you give advice to web shops how they can compete with because they'll probably won't be able to gather more data than the big platforms do, right?
Yeah, so it's quite a almost philosophical question, like what's the role of a marketplace, what's the role of a retailer, and what's the role of a supplier in like the broader ecosystem. And what you see in the digital space is like the big guys get bigger because they have more resources, they get more sales, they get more marketing spend, and it's all about the battle for the consumer. The interesting thing is, like, I think at Bol they have teams of 20, 30, 40 people maybe these days that run like the Google ads. They have a direct connection. They are the biggest spender. So they will always be better than you in setting up their Google ads, increasing their ROAS and all these things. The interesting thing is, because they are a marketplace, you can benefit from that. You pay a commission to them, but you can use those resources because they will advertise your product. And that's the whole concept of a marketplace, because they know a small, medium enterprise cannot do all these things. The same thing with like building Champions League level logistics. So they offer those logistics to these small, medium companies. And that's always what, so I'm a bit biased because of my past strategy role. But it's always what we said, like we are here to help the small, medium enterprises because they cannot battle with the ones like Shein, AliExpress, Amazon, eBay's. They will wipe them out. So you need a local platform that can battle with those big ones.
Can I ask you a question, John?
Yeah.
Because I think in the past we also saw that with Booking.com, right? There was a platform, Booking.com, and they helped hotels reach their audience. And of course, Booking does a way better job buying the CPCs and buying the clicks in comparison to separate hotels. But what you see right now is a change where Booking has increased the commissions to a certain point that hotels could actually they don't even have good margins anymore because lots of the money goes to Booking. What's your view on this phenomenon in compared to Bol.com? Because from your perspective, of course, Bol has the best intentions for small medium enterprises, but for a small medium enterprise perspective, you could argue. What's your view?
This is basically what happens when you dominate in a game of Monopoly. Mm-hmm. Then you control everything. And that's actually what happened with Booking.com, but also Thuisbezorgd, Takeaway.com. But Takeaway now has a competitor with Uber Eats. And then you see something happening in those rates, in those commissions. So it's never good to have one big marketplace because then this will happen. So if you have 2 or 3 large marketplaces, what you see in China, you have Alibaba, JD.com, and TikTok, and Pinduoduo, the number 4th. Then you have like a battle in commissions, like who can offer the best service to that small, medium enterprise. But like if you look at Germany or the UK, you see that Amazon has 50% market share. That's not healthy because they decide the rules of the whole e-commerce game. The customers start at Amazon. But if you look at the Netherlands, because Bol.com has around 20% market share, Amazon is at around 6 or 8. There is no big dominant marketplace player yet. Who is then the winner? Google. Google is the starting point of shopping. Google is the de facto marketplace where everyone relies on. I think most e-commerce shop owners know Google can cancel your account anytime they want. And then your revenue is screwed. So Google is not different from Amazon or Bol.com from that perspective. So you should see Google as a competitor of a Bol.com and Amazon.
I think also not to be I'm just throwing in the discussion. That's who I am because I believe certainly that a Bol.com is a competitor and whatsoever. But if you are within your industry and you are very good in what you do, there can be 20 category specialists, for example, at Bol, but still you can be the best one in what you do. So and that's also about how do you message. If you look at the Netherlands, you also have Coolblue. They are very, very consistent in how they talk to the consumers. They're very consistent in how they do their brand marketing. And that's also a big player, of course, but they do not sell other people's products. And I think you still can make a difference when you're really good in your product and you know what drives your customer, which comes back to the question like, hey, how do you know your customer? So I can imagine that a marketplace looks from an efficiency point, fast delivery, really USPs, which is convenient. But I can imagine if you're a specialist in, like, for example, I hit WinPass, like a car company. Yeah, at Bol.com, I can fill in my car plate to get my pass. And I think in these ways, you can also talk to your consumer like that. So Bol.com will never make a commercial which is perfectly fitted on a Ford owner, where WinPass can say, hey, I see that I have big margin in Ford. I would create a video on Ford owners. And so I think
this is totally true. Like a big marketplace can never create all the niche customer journeys you need in different segments. Yes. They will always be a generalist. So that's their role. And that's why you see that the number one player usually has 40-50% market share in a good market. And then you have all kinds of niche segments in the market which can create these specialized customer journeys. Like you even have marketplaces for secondhand furniture that's really good at that. A Bol.com or Amazon would never do that. You have space for that.
What role does a brand play in that game?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is, like in China, where 95% of all e-commerce revenue goes through marketplaces, they say there is no place anymore for a regular or a traditional retailer. You have the marketplace where the consumer comes. You have the connectors, like the ecosystem players who offer warehousing services, advertising services, the advertising agencies, all the services you need to sell something. And then you have the people or the companies that do the product. They are the brand, they make the products, they do the product research, they have the proposition that sells. And you need to be one of those three, they say in China. So you need to or have the product, or help people sell a product, or be the marketplace. There is no place for a retailer because it does not add value in that type of chain. And that's what you see slowly here in the West, that traditional retail chains are falling because they don't add value on top of the product, because the product, someone else made the product.
Yeah, it's not differentiating enough.
Yeah.
Interesting. Patrique, you have an interesting vision on your brand strategy as well, I guess. Can you explain a little bit about how you promote the EasyToys brand?
Yeah, so I mean, we came from far, of course, and why we did it, and so to give a short summary of when we started actually with EasyToys as a brand is quite interesting, because we thought that we were done playing the performance part. So and we saw a huge Google injection, and that's where we said, okay, we don't want to be Google as starting point, but we want to be the starting point from a branding perspective. So we started looking at other channels from a brand perspective, and actually what we did was start to break taboos, to open up the market, talk about taboos, but we also created a full sales strategy, which is Google. But we really looked, okay, what does the consumer want? Where do we talk about? So, for example, we have over 8,000 blog articles talking about sexual wellness, creating an environment where people can talk. We hired sexologists so that people really could ask questions which they couldn't ask their doctor or don't want to ask their doctor, so to say, to give answers on that to help people. So from a brand perspective, we said, okay, if we really want to beat Bol.com, so to say, at least within our part of the industry, we said, okay, we need to be a place where people understand that if they buy a product, that it's safe, that it's that we understand what they need. So from a brand, yeah, of course, everybody has seen probably the FCM and maybe even the I don't know if people see the ice hockey where we had to brand out the logo of the ice, things like that. Yeah, we always said we will be a bit of a rebel in a fun way. So we're also creating brand love, and I think that is one of the biggest points we try to make, to build that community that people say, okay, I want to be connected to EasyToys. That's why we also have the bucket hats and all the fan stuff, because we really try to create something where people say, hey, I want to be part of that. It's fun, and I don't have to be ashamed to have sexual wellness in my life.
You told me once about how you measure the effect of your branding efforts on performance, right? Can you shortly explain something about that?
Yeah, so we always have a lot of discussions internally, brand versus performance. Performance can say, I put in €1, I get €3 out, or I put in €1, get €10 out. And I always like to top that discussion with the brand as well. Like, what can we do? So not everything is measurable, of course, but you always want to know, hey, how can I do for example, what we did in Poland. We did 3 months of of cinema promotions, and in every cinema in Poland. And I said, well, that's quite interesting. So what are we going to do to measure this? Because that's a real brand activation. We can't always show products directly, so we need to do a message which is saying, hey, this is sexual wellness, but you don't see it directly. So you saw people, and we did it in the cinema with someone who was actually getting the popcorn out of the bag of the partner. So it's quite funny, actually, because everybody knows what that means. And it fits the cinema, so it was double on top. And what we do then to measure that is to say, okay, in these 3 months, we are going to reach certain 1.8 million people. We see that 15,000 people are now searching for a brand, for example. Does this grow from 15,000 to 45,000 searches? Do we see a high direct impact on our direct traffic? Do we see an increase in our incremental revenue? So do we see direct engagement numbers? And the same, we do that for television. Okay, we do a television spot. Are we getting traffic within 5 minutes of that spot on the television? Then we know at least if we have an effective commercial that we get engagement. But at the end of the 3 months, if our incremental revenue didn't increase, then you can say, is this the most effective channel? A lot of brand marketers will also discuss this with me because they say, yeah, you need time to build a brand. Yeah, that's very true. But you also need engagement. So it can mean one out of a lot of things. It can mean that the commercial was not effective, or that the medium was not effective, that your target audience did not connect to that message. But in that way, you can create KPIs which you can connect to your brand. So, and that's actually also our goal next year, to challenge the brand teams. And of course, I'm going to help them with that, to create performance KPIs connected to your brand KPIs instead of having reach.
Yeah, and I like how you not only look at the impact on the direct traffic, but also on the revenue in the end, which is, I think, a really good way to measure the effect of your branding efforts. So let's ask the audience for their opinion about the next statement. So within 3 years, we will be shopping from the Metaverse. Do you agree or do you disagree? I think our friend Mark is really busy on getting this up and running. John, what's your opinion? Is that already happening, John?
Yeah, so here we are still trying it out. In China, they cracked the business model. Because the business model is like, how do you earn money from this concept? And how Meta here positions is like, it's a world where you go in, it's like a second life kind of thing. Where in China, they use it as a brand building tool on the platforms. So you shop on Taobao, one of the apps of Alibaba, and you want to buy like the expensive products, like an IWC watch. Then you can go into a whole 3D world where they explain the watch, then show you how it's built. You can try it on with AR on your wrist. So you can do a lot of storytelling around your product and your brand. And that's something marketplaces are usually missing. So Alibaba offers this as a service to the brands who can afford it. And then they build these 3D worlds within the app. So no goggles, just on your phone, but good storytelling. And it's a form of advertising. So Alibaba gets paid for it. And that's how they use the Metaverse concept in China.
63% of the audience disagree. So I think we still have some work to do here.
Yeah, we
get
need
that really up and running.
Yeah.
And I also think that what you're saying, like the Mark version of the Metaverse is maybe a bit different, and how you explain it. And I think how you explain it is a bit more towards reality and closer by. Well, we need to wait a little bit more for Mark to develop his plan to really see that Metaverse develop.
Everyone to get the Oculus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I never talk to each other again.
But still, like I think it was already 3-4 years ago that Charlie Temple introduced their augmented reality, where you could check how a glass looks on your head, right? So, but I don't see it a lot happening right now in ecom. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe small, medium brands, or maybe big brands cannot afford the
This is a good example of where you need big tech to help, because Alibaba and JD and Tencent, the big tech companies, have the resource to build these tools, which other brands and smaller companies can use. Like even IWC, which is a major Swiss watch brand, does not have the skills to build an experience like that. They need to help. They need to work together with Alibaba to do that.
We actually also looked in a Metaverse for our product a while ago. It's on hold actually, but we actually created also augmented reality on
You could test the products there.
No, we were more thinking in a way to do events. So to create a brand experience within the Metaverse, making it a bit more anonymous, but still connecting people in such a way. But we also have augmented reality on some of our own product brands on the store. And it's not on a lot, but I know that the conversion rate is higher, which actually makes sense because sometimes you want to buy a vibrator or a dildo, and then you can actually see how big it is on your phone in your hands, because it's and we created it with I don't know the tool now everybody wants to know, but it was a on website tool, and our video team actually edited and created the augmented reality, but it's quite a time consuming process. It can take 8 hours for one product. So, but yeah.
So what John is saying, that the technology it's not there yet for smaller brands to develop themselves, and need to wait for the bigger ones. And Jeroen, you were saying about you were talking about gathering that data before, and I remember one of the viral campaigns we did or actually you did for vakantieveiling. Can you explain a little bit how you use that campaign to gather a lot of customer insights and data, and how we apply that strategy with some of our clients?
Yeah, definitely. So in the end, there's of course different ways to gather data, right? You can get the checkout data. We already have that. You have to purchase surveys that people probably don't fill in, even except if you're a love brand. You can do profile enrichment via email, but giveaways has been a very successful strategy for us to gather more customer data, because we not only gathering new potential customers because they can win something from you, but you also can reactivate your current database. And what you can do with a giveaway that really helped us was you get a lottery ticket from every action you take. So you could like someone's face, or if you could like a profile on Instagram, you could leave a review, but you can also ask them what they want, what they need, what kind of customers they are. And for every question they answered, you could do profile enrichment, and they could get an extra ticket for the lottery to win the giveaway. So at vakantieveiling, we did one with Disney, and in the end, it was super successful. Not only because existing customers joined, but also a lot of new customers gave their opinion about the platform, also why they didn't buy yet. So this is very interesting. That worked not only for them, but I think 4 or 5 very good cases on giveaways. The only time that it didn't work was we tried to give away a year free dinner, year free food for a food delivery service that delivers your food. And the segment that did that was a little bit too high, and they weren't interested in a giveaway whatsoever. So of course, a giveaway is still a tool, and you need the right audience for that. But in the end, we thought, who doesn't want a year supply of dinner? But in the end, nobody really was that interested. But
I joined that competition. I remember that one.
Didn't you win? No.
You should have sent us a message.
I'm fairly down. Yeah, and I like what so the referral and the virality. I think it's something not a lot of brands leverage yet. Only with reviews or recommendations, but not really like getting new clients in. And do you know Athletic Greens? They're spending 2.2 million a month on podcasts. So they actually gave Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan a recurring based profit share, right? So that's passive income, which everybody's looking for, even like the big guys like Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan. And for every subscription that they sell, they get a recurring revenue in. So a different way of doing your affiliate and referral, I would say. And it's quite interesting. John, I have some questions coming in from the audience, and I think they're directed to you because it has to do with platforms. So, nice. In some marketplaces, you can find info about customer behavior, trends, seasonality. What's your opinion on introducing a new product and change the usual behavior? In this case, I'm referring to an existing industry, but with a new product. So my question is, if you know cases where the shopping behavior was changed due to an introducing a new and different product in an existing industry category.
Yeah, this is a very cool topic because, he or she is right. There's a lot of data in these platforms, and you can get this data from the platforms. Not everything, but they are starting to share more. And the whole idea is to implement that knowledge into the next iteration of your product. So you can directly use the reviews, the search terms, your competitor sales data to figure out, hey, what should I change on my product to be better within this category? You see a lot of brands who are platform native that use this very well. So one of the most famous one is Anker in China with the power banks and the charging devices. They started out, okay, if I want to make a power bank, what's the capacity? What ports? What price point should I hit? And they all use it on the data, what's available on Amazon. Right now you have like the fruit fly traps from Fruit Ninja. It's a Dutch company. And they call themselves Super Ninja right now. And they also use all this Amazon data to make sure what type of rodent or insect trap they should make next. Like what do people search on and what can we develop? And they will want to do it green, so with no pesticides and do it the right way, which is non-toxic. So they differentiate with the non-toxic part, but they figure out what does the customer want to buy, and they put it on Amazon. And they have a different products for in the supermarket than Amazon because they put all their products on FBA in the warehouse of Amazon. If you can hit certain dimensions, you pay way lower fee. And so they repackage their products so they can fit through the letterbox. So you have quite some companies who do this really well and use this data to become the category leaders, but also to innovate way faster because you can make a new product iterations within a few months instead of years. Because you don't need to do surveys because you just get it out of the reviews.
Yeah, you can also track the system actually. So if you want to have your product as bestseller, you also put it in a category where nothing is sold actually. So you only need one seller and then you get the bestseller label in Amazon on the category you want. So you can put it in 3 categories and then one shitty category where you just get the bestseller label. It will also show in the top 2 categories you are.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Do you use tools for that information, or are you limited to the information that you get from Bol and Amazon, or are there different ways to gather information?
You always have tools like within the wider ecosystem. So Amazon has their own app store. You have the tools like Jungle Scout, Helium 10. Those are all third-party companies who scrape Amazon, who pull the data from the APIs and put it together in a dashboard for you. And Bol.com also has the same type of companies like Riley, Bolu, 5X, who do the same things. And you need to synthesize the data a bit. But then you can really use it to develop your next product.
And what I like about what you're just saying is that they might even develop the product in a way that it fits the certain dimensions. And I remember when I had a web shop in a specialty coffee once, a long time ago, and I developed the own brand at the shop, and then I had the packaging, and then I was shipping it for €6 per package, and I was like, "Oh, it would be so nice if it would fit through the letterbox." But didn't came up with that before developing the packaging, so it's a good learning from that point.
Yeah, we are e-commerce native. Yeah.
I also have an illegal trick for people who want to know for Amazon.
Yes, we want to know illegal tricks.
Yes. It's illegal from Amazon point of view. It's not illegal by law. Okay. What Amazon does, if you advertise on a product, they rank you based on ASIN next to popular products. So if a very popular product, you take their ASIN. It's not allowed to put it in the keyword level anymore because you could choose for which keywords to rank, but you can hide it in the description so that you get a second position next to a popular product unpaid. So it's a very nice way to get some free ranking traffic on popular products. I didn't do this for all my ebooks. Oh, yes, I did.
No, sure you didn't.
One tip right here.
But it's quite nice. I mean, trick the
I think
system, right?
you were telling about some offline. You were talking about some offline activation for your brand. Jeroen, you have an opinion about on and offline combined as well, right? So, what's your recommendation for brands to do next year and upcoming years? Obviously, a web shop, e-com is online focused, but what are we doing offline?
Yeah, so if I would look at myself, I'm a really ropo guy. So I research online and purchase offline because I still don't know about all the products, what to buy. And I really love the service that I get in stores. So from an online perspective, I would encourage web shops to give more information about the product and show it more. You have now models that wear an M size, but there's only one model there. Right. So if I'm 50 or 20, 25 centimeters smaller than the model on a fashion web shop, then I still don't know how it fits me. So I think there's a lot of information that people need to increase the product page to add to cart ratio, because you don't want people to think, and you really want to help them on the service level. So I would definitely recommend improve the product of the information that's being shown on product pages. And for offline specifically, well, the statistics I think in the Netherlands were that offline didn't grow this year during Black Friday, and e-commerce grew from 6.1 million purchase to 7.1 million purchase. So we see that the online growth is still pretty rapid in comparison to offline growth. But I had one thought, and I don't have a glass ball, unfortunately. But I was thinking about how cool would it be that you have like a fitting warehouse, that you don't have a shop, but you have a central space, maybe in Amsterdam, where everyone can fit their purchases. Because what we need, of course, from a sustainability point, what we all think it's very, very important, is that we don't want to see so many packages delivered to people their home and then get returned to the warehouse. So how cool would it be that you have a central warehouse spot? John, I see you wave. Central warehouse spot where people can fit, and of course also fit other clothes, and maybe you can have an interaction like buying more there as well.
Nice. One thing to add before I give it to John. So I remember one of our clients in the jewelry business, they had stores all over the Netherlands, and you tested an online transaction versus a purchase in the store, where the purchase in the store was the average deal size was twice or three times as big. So the ROAS was crazy high. So we actually sent people towards the store rather than getting them to purchase online. And this morning it was funny because I saw a Dyson commercial on TV with a QR code. I was like, aha. So finally people show ads on TV where I can just scan the commercial from TV and purchase the product directly. So it's actually the first time I saw it, but maybe you've seen it before. But John, do you see this trend from China moving out?
Cool thing from Dyson is the QR code has I think a UTM where they can track the
of course
statistics on the TV
and hopefully a pixel.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is in China is I think around 50% is online. Here in the Netherlands we're around 20%, so more than double. But at the same time, the shopping streets are not empty. They are still filled with stores, coffee shops, restaurants, and the whole concept on online and offline has had to change there, because otherwise everyone would be out of business in traditional retail. But the fun thing is, like if you go to Shanghai and Nanjing Road, like the main shopping street, you have a big Nike flagship store. I think three levels. It's super big. There's a basketball court and there's like a spray paint booth where you can customize your shoes. But there's almost no stock in that store. You can only try on things, and if you like it, they are runners. They get it from different spots in the city, and they can bring it to your house or directly to the store within 10 minutes. It's about experience.
Yeah, it's also more about inspiration, right? You get inspired in the store. Yeah. You can include influencers in the store. You could actually have the social e-commerce, what you said before. You could actually have that in store if you have influence within the store, looking at the product, letting you try out the product, and from there make a decision. So my point of view is research online, purchase offline could actually have a shift that your research starts offline, whereas you will still purchase online.
Yeah, so it can go both ways, but you should like see it as one integral shopping journey for the consumer and not two different channels.
And I've been to an interesting topic to ask the audience about. What I would like your opinion about is the statement will say, within 5 years, AI agents will browse the web shops and place an order wherever it's cheapest or delivered fastest. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Interesting.
That says the future in the sentence. It's not right correctly, but do you expect AI agents to do all the browsing and ordering for us? Are we going to say, hey, Google, order me some New Balance shoes in size 44, and wherever it's cheapest and delivered fastest? So,
well, EasyToys probably, if you ask Siri online of when you're walking on the streets to buy your new toy, that's going to be interesting.
Maybe you should say a little bit about the size and the shape to get the right product in, because
AI is
surprised.
AI is maybe them that's so smart that they know you.
Maybe they've been watching you, or listening.
Yeah.
With all the devices around you, and they know exactly what you're looking for.
After this, I only get Sprint and Sneakers retargeting.
I know from my time at Bol that like the data science team has figured out, like based on the books you read, they know when you're pregnant or not.
Oh, really?
Before you even know yourself.
I actually heard about that. Someone got a commercial for pregnant, and then she tested it and she was pregnant. Like, what the hell?
I remember with Aura, the insurance company, that when people were going to my account, so you never log into your account, right? So there was a 40% chance that they will cancel their account because you never look at it, only when you're planning to cancel it. So that was a big red flag in, we're going to lose this client. So and then try to get them to stay.
So they removed my account.
73% agrees. So I guess we cannot ignore the AI trends. Patrique, AI, what are you doing and what do you expect from it?
Well, we use it now for writing, SEO, translations. We actually stopped with a lot of our translation companies, and we use a ton of them with AI. Firstly, I just built a Google Sheet. I will very admit and built a bot plugin for €25 to connect my OpenAI connection on the back end of the Google Sheets with a script. But our head of data, which is a very, very smart person, actually now built in onto our own build systems. For product information, we auto-translate bullet points, small product, the basic product descriptions. So that actually everything which is basic or which is the minimum viable need to go online goes live after a check. And then our SEO teams can actually work on it to make it even better. But for the basics, yes, we already use that AI in that kind of sentence. We're not connected to a data yet because we do not know if it's fully anonymous yet, and we will never connect it, of course, before we know that. Because we have a very sensitive product, but we are setting up also internally innovation task force all around AI. We have a Teams chat with people to share knowledge, to see, hey, what's happening, and also for the listeners and viewers here. I'm a big fan of, you probably need a robot, which updates me on a weekly basis with the newsletter about all new AI tools, tech stack, what's coming up. So I'm a big fan. I also wrote a book. Will not say which book because I'm not going to promote my book here, but I wrote a book with AI and it sold quite well.
Nice.
And it's about AI, so how to write with AI. So it's a bit funny, actually. I also put it in the book that I actually wrote a book with AI, but only on the last page, so that I already got the money.
Nice.
But in our organization, yes, translations, fast SEO IDs. I also do it to challenge actually creative agencies. So, but I do that a bit secretly. So when a team person has, for example, an ID for a concept, and now they know because it's always like, yeah, you use ChatGPT, but what I did, the briefing we sent to external agencies, I actually also sent that to ChatGPT, and then asked them to come with concepts for it. And then I will put that next to what an agency is delivering us, and then say, hey, but what ID do I like better? And the fun thing is, some people say, oh, everybody who's creative is going to lose the job. But I think your minimal standard is getting higher. So it's not that creativity is losing the job, but it's like, the level of creativity, if it was here, now it's here. And you can create a lot of efficiency in getting new ideas, getting some really fun things also. And so quite happy with it.
Interesting. So guys, we got only 5 minutes left, so maybe we need to schedule like a follow-up session, maybe even individually, because I think we can talk about everything for hours. One important thing we still need to talk about is, like, we just had Black Friday. We try to convince all our clients to do more like a Green Friday, right? So we as businesses, we should use it as a force for good. We have a responsibility to make a positive impact. And John, do you see things we can learn from Chinese companies where, with regards to making a positive impact and limit your negative footprint?
Yeah, so I think just this week, in Black Friday is not that big in China, but you have Singles Days at the 11th of the 11th, and you have Double 12. So that's coming up within a few weeks. But Alibaba last week canceled it. They canceled their third largest shopping festival.
Wow.
So that's a big move. Take some balls. Ballsy. They speculate online like Singles Day wasn't that good. The economy is not going that strongly. So let's just cancel the event. But still, like, from a retailing point of view, you still want to do the event. It's still revenue. So it's that's a very interesting move. And they also they are like ballsy enough to prioritize like the green products up on the campaign pages. That's not something you see here. You see here still the Dysons and the MacBooks and the high value items. But there they prioritize the stuff that has like the green certifications. So that's interesting for them to do. They have second-hand platforms that are way better than everything we have here. So that's super interesting. And the market for services there is way larger than here. Like we all have a power bank rusting in our drawer. But in China, no one buys a power bank. They can rent them everywhere. The same thing for umbrellas, bikes, cars. And I think we need like those big shifts. And the interesting thing is marketplaces have those positions. I've also worked on these projects, but it's quite hard to get them through the board. Like a Bol.com or Amazon, they know who has a drilling machine in their garage doing nothing for 364 days in the year.
Yeah, that's valuable data.
But if you can, like we know it from the customers, then you can like rent it peer-to-peer and then get a commission from that. If you do these kinds of projects, then you have the real impact instead of like selling 10% less. We need those game changers. And I think the marketplaces have the positions to help with that. And all the small, medium enterprises should figure out like how can we change the business model to change the impact model.
John, who is the front runner with putting the most sustainable products up top? Is that something Alibaba does because they're very interested in that? Is that because the market asks for it? Is that it's a push from the government? Like who's the front runner?
The government has like a very big ambition, like within 5 years or so many years, like China is putting more sustainable energy like on the ground, like solar panels, wind turbines everywhere than the rest of the world combined. So it's a governmental push. And Alibaba also has like set their like sustainability goals. So they want to reduce their scope 3 impact with 60-70% in 10 years. And you see no retailers in the world who say anything about their scope 3. It's always 1 and then maybe a little bit of 2. So that's quite ambitious what they do. And that's partly government and partly how Chinese set goals.
Cool. Guys, we need to wrap it up. So we've been talking about what you need to do with data, a little bit about AI. Social commerce is a big trend we cannot ignore. Jeroen, you've been talking about your viral campaign and maybe other companies here in this session. I just got a notification that we're giving away 3 audits. So if you want to learn more about how you can grow your brand in terms of impact, in terms of performance, zero, etc. So we're going to have a look at your brand. So if you're interested in that, please reply yes, and then the moderator will write down your details. The first 3 replying yes will get a free audit. This was way too short, guys. So we need to schedule a follow-up session. We've got so much more to talk about, so many trends. If you've got additional questions, please shoot them to us, then we'll try to answer them all in an email, WhatsApp, phone call, whatever. Any last words and one closing word?
I always say if a project is not scalable, then it's not worth my time.
Nice. John, any last advice?
Yeah, like
Close.
Don't just try to buy something and sell it. Try to add value.
Good one. Jeroen?
Nice. Yeah, invest in data.
Nice. And I've got a sort of a new YMCA, and it's called AI. So we might do the AI dance in the future, do a theme song, and then we all can leverage the power of AI. Thank you all so much. I hope to see you soon, because we're going to do it more often on a weekly basis. Maybe next time with John on an individual session, Patrique, Jeroen, maybe inviting some clients. This is really fun. Thank you so much. Hope to see you next time. Ciao.